Monday morning. I wonder if you can imagine standing in a lecture hall, your freshman year in college, and the professor takes the stage and says, "Okay, class, above anything else we're going to do this semester, ... Or you get a call into the boss's office and he sits you down across from him and he looks at you and he says, "Okay, above anything else we're going to do this whole year, this is what I want you to focus on." Or you are standing at the aisle with the person who's about to become your spouse, and the minister leans in a little closer and looks you both in the eye and says, "There's a rough world out there waiting to devour your marriage. And so above anything else you do in this season, I want you to ... You know, very often I block out extreme language. A lot of times my bonus kids will come in the room and you'll hear that, "You always," or "They never," or "It's always like this," and and it's like white noise in my head, and I just don't even listen to it because it's so extreme. And yet there are moments in life where words are arresting. And the passage in Proverbs 4:23 that changed my life and is the core foundational verse for this ministry says it clearly: "Guard your heart above all else, for it affects everything you do." Isn't that amazing? Of all the things the Lord could have told us to guard and protect, He tells us we're to guard and protect our hearts. That must mean that they are of the utmost value, but it also must mean that if we're to guard it, then there's someone that could jeopardize it, could come against it, could wage war for it. John 10:10 says we have a very real enemy who's a thief, who comes to steal and to kill and to destroy. It's like this progressive hiss, if you will. A hiss that began in the garden in Genesis chapter 3 when he approaches Adam and Eve and he comes with this accusation towards God and he says, "Did God really say?" And he does much the same with our hearts today, trying to come at us with doubt and accusation against the God of our own stories. And very often he is able to still our hearts, maybe through our self-sufficiency, maybe through our addictions, maybe through our anger or our fear or our people-pleasing. He's a master at thievery. And then we can get lost in these things that he has stolen, and the self-sufficiency can lead to exhaustion and depression, or the addiction can lead to a life of shame and a cycle of addiction and shame, or the fear can lead to an anxiety disorder. It's the stealing and then it's the killing, because he's ultimately after total destruction. And so what do? We have to realize our heart is a treasure. It's of such value. Do you know that we can't even have a relationship with Jesus Christ without our heart? It says, if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, then you will be saved. So our heart has to be brought into the process. It's vital to the process of salvation. It's also vital to the process of growth and relationship. It says, love the Lord your God with all of your heart and all of your soul and all of your mind and all of your strength. Your heart is invaluable. And on this Monday morning, when you climb into that car, or even when your feet hit the floor, it's going to be assaulted in every way imaginable, with doubt, with accusation, with anger, with things that don't go your way, with the commute to work and all the frustrating people, with the bombardment of advertisements that appeal to our lust and our carnal desires, with all of the things that pull and vie for our attention. So Denise, how do I guard this most valuable treasure? Well, one of the greatest ways is starting your morning by pouring this truth into your very soul. Because you cannot combat a lie unless you know what is true. And this word of God is true. It's living and active and sharper than any double-edged sword, Hebrews tells us. Be in a good Bible-believing church with fellow believers so that you can grow in faith. Spend time in prayer. Read books that are edifying. And be in relationships where it's iron sharpening iron. Friends, I want you to know today, God has given us everything around us for our victory and for the guarding and protecting of our hearts. Let's use them. Because above anything else in this life, your heart is going to affect everything you do. Guard it for the priceless treasure that it is.